what's up like the whole laziness of the empire, and then it is where it is. I guess after a minute there, I'm beginning to wonder if that's all like the techniques inside aren't also part of a war technique I never thought of because I don't think like that. But if it costs resources to wage war, and you don't really get paid back those resources, besides possibly stealing the land, or since it's not wars of total extermination usually, it is if it can be. Obviously, those lands were taken; they were easily taken like that. But and the only things I could think of other than that, if you don't actually win the resources, is something I used to see happening in the place. Is if you just destroy people and take their stuff from them, then there's mm, nothing they can do. You know, they're they're going to be on a lower level than they were before, and you might have lost some resources, but they just lost. I mean, you just hopefully reclaim some of those resources. That's how war works, and they lost like a lot of people and a lot of buildings and stuff. So they get like held back and placed on a lower level. But I see, ever since I was a kid, like you can just go outside in this nation now, and stores are closed at like 7 or 8 p.m. And other nations don't do that I've been to, and they're like, I mean, this nation used to be open like that, so it had some excuses and stuff. But in reality, it was still kind of like doing the same thing back then. It was still like, just shut up and go to sleep for like 14 hours. Like, I mean, they always have something to say. They're like, well, you got to go to bed early. We're shutting the stores down at 8 because you got to go to bed early and wake up early because early people get work done. And it's like, no one, like, no, you wake up early, everyone is not done with their 18-hour a day sleep. And you can't do that either. And then they tell you, no, you can't wake up early. You can't do anything. It's like a pattern there they have, and it just made me realize that that's got to do with the wars too, doesn't it? Like making sure, like if you just work at McDonald's and fuck up orders all day, I guess there are a lot of bots out here the game creates with this narcissist trait where they have to make sure that there's people below them to be their slaves and servants, and if you're really on this like Jerry Springer level, um, there's things out here who think that what they have to do is spend their time like keeping other people from even going to work at McDonald's. That way they're like not even the level of a McDonald's worker who doesn't care and doesn't even cook the food and stuff like that. That's kind of sick that it actually happens, but I guess like that's like part of what's going on like globally too, and like other nations clearly. I'm sure they're not blind. Now, granted, there are nations out there who like defecate in the streets who are like rising up to the level of what this place is, and there are other ones who knows how far advanced they are because all I know is they must be really advanced because all you hear from these people is how trashy they are, and well, they can't use that word. They say they're like anti-democracy people because they're trying to keep them from invading their borders. I mean, they enslave their people. Apparently, they enslave their people and stuff. Building really nice buildings and educating them and stuff like that, and keeping them away from countries who make up nonsense like this. Keep those people from sending their spy racial religions and to destabilize their nation, like they did with their opium in the past and using drugs. I mean, they do that on their own people though. Like, this is like the whole mosquito conversation. Is the mosquito ever going to become like a good, productive member of a society like a cat is? No, it's not. It wouldn't be a mosquito anymore. It can't. A mosquito doesn't turn into a cat. I've never seen it happen. I mean, the world's pretty fake and all that, but there's apparently like some set of rules, because there's no such thing as dinosaurs. And, well, there's no dinosaurs walking around, so you're not going to have mosquitoes turning into cats one day. And then those people make it so you can't even discuss the mosquito-cat relationship, probably because it's like just super offensive to their whole agenda and stuff. Like, discussing reality is super offensive to certain places I've been. It's just like, it's not even on the chart. They have these traps, like every few months. If you don't put up pictures of the giant bunny god, or the flying, ultra fast, hardworking fat claws, then you're different. You're ostracized. You're forced into that. You're forced into saying the sky is neon green. And if you don't say that, I'm not sure if they're really even smart enough to get to that, but I guess, like, intelligence is different. You know, there's a difference between a person who, like, knows how to build a house or put together a computer, and a person who knows how to, like, manipulate and enslave. And it doesn't mean they're actually stupid. If, you know, a person who knows how to kill very well is not actually stupid. You know, if you're like a killer, and your knowledge of how to take people apart is on the level of a doctor, you're smarter than most people. It's got nothing to do with ignorance there. If you're like a robber, and you're robbing, you know, large government organizations and banks and stuff, like, you're not just an idiot. You know, like a person who walks into a store and starts eating a candy bar right in the store and stuff, and doesn't even take time to put it in their pocket and walk out the store. You're on a whole nother level of intelligence, like 80 levels higher of intelligence. So it's not like you can really write off people as something like that. It's stupid if they're actually skillful at manipulation. Like, there are people out there who convince you that giant bunnies and invisible flying fat people travel at the speed of the light, and all that stuff exists. And well, in some aspect, those people are highly more intelligent than the ones they get that message through to, unless those other ones aren't just knowing the benefit of working along with those things is to, you know, it's like taking a test. Are you going to do what I say or not? You can't take just like COVID showed us. We could ask the humans my entire existence how they felt and what they would do when the government told them to enslave and kill everyone, including everyone around them that they've ever claimed they liked. And the humans all said we would never do that. But then the COVID test came along, and the COVID test was that, but it was words in a different form. It was like saying, I believe that an invisible giant bunny exists and delivers gifts brought to us by God. The bunny has been brought to us by God. Now, do you disbelieve in that? Let's go celebrate. Now, if you don't do that, they know that you don't believe everything they say. And if you do that, on the other hand, if you do that, other people could see things. But, it gets beaten into you by society, and physically and mentally. And then, like the COVID thing, like it showed us, like, they are absolutely down with this type of method in the area. There's a reason why that method has been used for thousands of years. And you gotta ask questions like they did. You can't just be out in the open. You gotta be like, hey, instead of being like, hey, if you work, you wanna fight government corruption? Like, no, I'm busy right now, but if you want to, that's a good idea. You want to fight the government and enslave everyone? They're like, no, I'm busy right now, but if you want to, but you should sit down here with me for a while instead. If you do that type of stuff, you don't really get the full answer, maybe until it's too late. You might begin to start feeling weird. Like if you're like, hey, I got stuff I gotta go do. And they're like, no. What do you gotta go do? What do you gotta go do? Literally, like some of these bots were on repeat, like repeating themselves, like they're just glitching. 2020, like the bots here were just glitching because I asked to see everything, I'm assuming. And whatever AI operates the living beings here took full advantage of me asking to see things, and then they started just glitching out. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you keep asking that? Like, I already told you 100 times. Like, you're asking it like you know what I'm doing is hunting black palpacy, which you're related to, I found out. So, something pushed that information my way. Something here has a storyline that's being pushed, and something here is manipulating your brain and acting real stupid because you're just like repeating yourself. But it felt like it was the traditional American method of, as long as you are blah blah blah, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Literally on repeat, bro. I mean, that's not a living being. If there are living beings here, COVID should have shown you that there are a lot of other things here amongst us. Or rather, not really here amongst us, but do appear on the screen. Like, you would think, like, if you had a thought, like, previously, the previous 40 years, they didn't have that ability. They had that ability to slowly manipulate you, like the Santa Claus thing and the Easter Bunny thing. It's a test. Like, it knew to test to see who would do absolutely anything they're told to do without thought, without question, and who would beat it into other people as well. And because you can't go around one-on-one telling everyone what to do and how to do it if there's 14 billion people supposedly able to do it. They taught me that too, that leaders could that. They were teaching me that during the riot and stuff and all that. But with a lot of resources, how do they have all those resources? Another to not do anything and keep them down, these Abrahamics and stuff. And why isn't anyone doing anything about the Abraham? parasites up in my life. Why is this glitching? Oh, I'll tell you what, those and those supporting them. We need, obviously, it's a land of bots, so we're going to do what the fuck we want with them. And we're going to have to get rid of this place. There's no way. And it's already gone. I mean, the only people who work here are outsiders they bring in. And then cult members worshiping those people and stuff. The same people who were going to other nations and stealing all their shit and blowing up their buildings and killing their people and using soft subversion spy mind manipulation techniques of the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus to make sure that they continue to beat their own society into worshiping it, which is why we have nations preventing them from coming in with their Nazi religions. The word Nazi doesn't really apply when we're trying to imply it's a race religion, because Nazi definitely wasn't a bunch of blonde-haired, blue-eyed people at the top, was it? It was a bunch of Zelenskys and Israeli dual citizens, like it is today, right? But yeah, I'd say that looks on. But hey, Santa Claus doesn't look on. Oh, it's real. Oh, it's real. It's so real. Live in a nation that just has vast wealth somehow, and really, the only thing you hear from other nations is that they're stealing that stuff from them. And when you're inside it, you literally have people preventing you from doing anything and going anywhere. And in my life, that's one special group who all looks the same and related. And hell, the people I know who have done hard work, and I've actually known them closely, those two people, well, their work is dedicated to worshiping the alien demon race. I myself, I've been to these Epstein places to pick up money and all that stuff. I mean, I didn't know. I definitely didn't work for him too long. But definitely understood later in life what I was doing, where the money in my family came from and stuff. Where the actual people doing work were working for. Yeah, and then it's like, so what, if you're anything anywhere, they come scoop you up and you have to work for them if you don't like. And I noticed too, some of the harder working people, not all of them, some of them are working directly for the cults and stuff, and that's the hard work they're probably doing, is building up the cult further. Because like I said, you can't create something and then go around and force it on everyone yourself. You got to create other people, go around and force it on each other, and so you create schools and TV and groups of people to go spread the word about you shouldn't be working or doing anything. And when bad things happen to you, it's definitely not an alien devil race upon this planet. It's the other alien devil race upon this planet. But come give us all your money and I bet you it'll stop happening. Come work real hard for us and I bet you it stops happening and stuff. Yeah, they got a lot of manipulation, don't they, dude? And then they drug you if you don't sleep 18 hours a day or go work for them with like the shittiest drugs they can find too, all sorts of, the worse they can make them the better. Like they just legalize weed like everywhere, and like it's pretty obvious to tell if you don't smoke weed, when you go to smoke it you lose your brain, your ability to think and have memory. You don't really notice that after a while because that's what happens. You can't remember it. You can't remember anything if you're taking drugs that make you not remember anything. But I imagine they're using other techniques too, because how else for the average person, what's their excuse if they don't smoke weed for being cult members? And having delusions, psychosis, giant bunnies, and stuff like that. There's literally no excuse. You can't really blame drugs for that. I mean, that stuff obviously is used to target certain individuals because that's what they do when you're a kid. They target you with the amphetamines and stuff, and they use their schools and the people married into their families to force that stuff on your children, like they did with Kanye West. Like, those stars are always asking questions about my kids. Why are my kids on these drugs and stuff like that? And why is my kids' parents like destroying my life and taking my kids from me? And it's like, well, you're married to the people you're attacking, probably, and if not, you send them to their school system. Depending on which one we're talking about, it's pretty obvious that's what's doing it there. Kanye West, it's obvious. Like, you're married into the people you think you're attacking, who you know are attacking you and you're talking about and stuff. So that's why that person is trying to take your kids from you, because you're talking about them and stuff. And that's their method too, is when they invade, they half mix with nations they invade with, and that way they don't turn on them, and then they have slave classes. Pretty basic 1,000-year-old war. I mean, the world's on repeat until the problem's dealt with and stuff. And I mean, technically, I don't think it's on repeat at all. I don't think it existed in the past. Um, yeah, I mean, come on. I Summon Humans and music videos, like blockbuster movies and stuff are built like right around what I'm doing and stuff in the world, and just magically can appear according to things I say or do. People up here, people, come on. I wouldn't be here for over so many years. I would never come to this place ever again. So, yeah, it's just backstory. So the story's just telling you what's going on, and just like any video game you enter and play, like you play Final Fantasy and the first 8 ones, it just tells you how it's called Final Fantasy for a reason, because it's the same fantasy over and over, and this is the final one. Blah blah blah. Pretty much every game. Like 50. I mean, there's only like seven genres of media, and then there's only like a handful of each type. There's like the monster genre has like 7 monsters, and the fantasy stories have like 7 fantasies, and it's generally about dragons and knights and wizards, and ancient evil came back to Earth, but it tells you all about what you're playing through when you play it by saying, oh, that happened 100 years ago, that happened 2,000 years ago. And it's clear, like, no one would live on a planet like this that long and stuff, but and I guess most of that stuff becomes excessively clear once you start summoning human clones and stuff like that, who become the filler for the 14 billion you haven't seen yet. So, yep. I assume that the answer to my question about this video about why is it so lazy to do with the Final Fantasy quest line and storyline. Oh, the ancient evil came. Oh, the empire's fallen. Oh, literally, they're going to get out of hand and stupid, and then the mind control in 2020 is going to happen. They're being decadent and ignorant. Yeah, it's literally